made me sick to my stomach that JC, those words came out of JC's mouth. And that's what Jeff wanted to hear. You're never too old to do anything. And it's just believing in yourself. And it's more so believing in the fun journey you're going to have. He was there to murder.
What's up, everyone? It's Ava and Ivy, and welcome back to another podcast episode. Today's guest obviously needs no introduction. It's none other than Sue from Survivor 47 and now Beast Games Season 2. Say hi, Sue.
Hi, everyone.
We are so excited to have you on the podcast today. As you know, we're big Survivor fans as well as Beast Games fans. One thing I do want to say, I don't know if you watched our Beast City tour, but we were in the city while you guys were in there, and I saw you from afar, and I was like way too nervous to come up to you, and technically we weren't allowed to like come up to you directly, but yeah, we clocked you immediately.
Yeah,
like, that's Sue. That's
we
Sue.
were like, oh my gosh, is that
right? I want you to know, I saw you guys too, and I'm like, what are they doing here? And then everyone was saying that you were from season 1, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like the fact that you can actually come and see the city. I have to ask you, what did you guys think about the Beast City, you know, the newer one for season 2?
I was definitely jealous of it. It was a lot nicer than ours, and it looks so futuristic, so it was really cool to just see everything in there.
It was crazy, right?
Yeah. It was insane, like the amount of stuff you guys had versus what we had. Look, I'm not complaining. I loved our city, but you guys had a lot of upgrades this season, so we were definitely a little jealous.
Well, you know what? I think every year it's gonna just get better and better, right? Like he doesn't go backwards. He sees what he doesn't like and is like, okay, let's do something new, and he just does it and does it instantly. So it's exciting to see this whole empire moving forward, right? It's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine what they'll do with the rest of the seasons after seeing that city.
No.
Like, it's crazy. Let's start off with giving the audience a little bit of a background on your history with reality TV. Do you want to talk about your time on Survivor and maybe mention some of your most memorable moments to give the audience a review?
So I think, I was on season 47 of Survivor. It was interesting because I always wanted to do Survivor. My whole family, very competitive people. We all wanted to like join it when it first started, when my dad was alive. And we were like, listen, we should go in as a family. We're very, very competitive and we love doing new things like that. And then, we were always betting every week about, who we thought was going to be voted out. It was a huge, huge family thing. And then, life got in the way. My daughter got diagnosed with juvenile diabetes and it flipped our world upside down. So, you sort of lose your focus on certain things like that and you start focusing on life. And, then you get older and things happen. I ended up going through a divorce. And then, fast forward to after watching, probably it was Jam season, my daughter kept saying to me, Mom, why don't you just apply for Survivor? You've always wanted to do it. And the reason I applied, I didn't think they were going to take me, one. But the reason I applied was I wanted to show her that you just got to try anything in life that you want to do, put that effort out there and just try. So once I submitted my audition tape, I'm like, okay, now the rest is in fate's hands. And I didn't expect a call back or anything. And that's the same thing that happened with Beast Games. She's like, Mom, Aiden, my grandson, who only watches Mr. Beast, she was just like, same thing, can you just apply for Beast Games? I'm like, sure. And just again, always showing her, if you try, so many wonderful things and doors open for you, So getting on Survivor was cool and scary. My biggest fear was that I was so much older, and I know how the younger people look at people, even in their 40s, let alone these almost 60. So that was my biggest concern about being on Survivor, being that old person. I know they always need that token old person. And I was it. So I went in there trying to lie about my age just because I didn't think they'd even care about, they already knew I was the older person. And if I didn't say I was 59, I figured 45 sounded a little bit less old and maybe they'd keep me around a little bit. I think my two favorite things, one was the red paint episode where, I found the beware advantage. I was able to hit the rope and this big pot of red paint comes down and it was nobody can even ever understand how crazy that was. It was all over the whole area, and it was our walking path to the water well. So not only did I have to try to clean that, I didn't even know it was on my body. Like I'd seen it on my legs, and I was taking sand and trying to do that, scrub it off, but it was almost like a gel, weird paint that water wasn't, when I poured water on it, it wasn't rinsing it off. So it was something that I had to keep rubbing in the grass. That was hysterical, a lot of fun. It was huge to actually find an idol, or Beware Advantage and then get an idol on Survivor. It was one of my big time bucket lists. And, you go out there and you think it's so easy to find something, but you've got miles upon miles of just like woods and a million places to find things. So it was really much harder. A needle in 5,000 haystacks is what we used to say. That was one of my favorite things, as well as now I can laugh at my dirty face. Like I don't even know what the heck happened. I definitely am someone that I don't mind getting dirty. I don't mind digging in holes. I slept in the dirt. I don't know what happened, but now it's sort of funny. And when the other day, so Chelsea or somebody sent me something that someone on Reddit or something wrote, the old lady with the dirty face old lady is now on Beast Games. And to me, I think it's so funny, I don't know. It's something that I can laugh at. And I think that's something that like, I love to be able to share with others, that it's so important to be able to laugh at yourself. And if you can laugh at yourself and be like, own it, I own it. This is who I am. This is what happened. Like it hasn't broken me down. It's actually sort of funny. It sort of made me more famous for something embarrassing, but like I got over it. And that's where, like, again, it's another message out to the world that you got to lighten up. You got to laugh at yourself. You got to allow people to not like you. I'm sure maybe you guys experience this too, right? Social media, people are going to like you and people are going to hate you, and there's no reason why. And if you can ignore all of that and just still be true to who you are, your life is just going to be freaking amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that point. And, especially when you're on reality TV, you can't take it to heart. There's always
No.
going to be someone that's hating on you and or making fun of you. And listen, yeah, you had a dirty face, but you're on Survivor. Like that's the best excuse
Yeah.
ever. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
like, come on, like all you people on the couch making fun of me. Well, are you on Survivor? No, like I was
Right.
working my ass off, and also, I don't want to be talking too much, but the other cool thing is that I broke the records. I broke the records for being the oldest person to make it to the final three and the oldest person to win an immunity challenge, which is, again, one more thing. I'm here to inspire everyone, especially people my generation, that you can do anything you want to do at any age. And that's something that, like, it's a message I'm trying to get across and get out there to the world, as well as other younger people too that are maybe insecure or maybe want to do stuff. You're never too old to do anything, and it's just believing in yourself, and it's more so believing in the fun journey you're going to have. And that's how I always looked at it, and I look back at everything, even on Beast Games, I look back at the journey. And again, the end is really cool, and it's like icing on top if you win money or something like that. But like the journeys, you guys experienced it, the journeys you have is pretty amazing and opens many, many more doors.
Yeah, I completely
That's so
agree.
inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's what I've always loved you just for your confidence alone, the way you present yourself. Like you're just a huge inspiration to women in general or anyone in
Yeah,
general, you know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
So,
That means a
yeah.
lot. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course, of course. And so you were kind of talking about or kind of leaning into your confidence and I guess mixing in your experience on reality TV. Going into episode 1 of Beast Games, let's start talking about that. So, look, the first set, obviously it's a huge spectacle. It's a lot to take in. What was your first impression seeing that set, and did it make you nervous kind of seeing just how big Beast Games really was this season?
It doesn't, I guess you can say it's nervous, but it's more like exciting. And it's more, so I came into Beast Games after watching season 1 and seeing how easily people were just kicked out because of someone four people down. So I kept saying to myself, if I get knocked out because some other jerk did something, I can't, I'm not to blame, but I went in there expecting that could possibly happen. When I saw what we did, I'm not afraid of heights. So the higher we went, I'm cool with that. I jump out of airplanes. Like none of that bothered me or worried me. It was more, are we doing like these, like in my brain, I'm like, are we doing these blocks and are we in like little teams? And if someone in my team doesn't do it properly, are we all gone? Like, what is the process going to be? And I think that the unknown is the hardest thing. And then once you started realizing that this is how you work, it's doing it, it's more on my own, which I like. If I'm going to be knocked out, I'd rather be knocked out on my own doing than someone else's doing. Yeah, it was the most incredible experience and mind blowing how huge this was. And I have to tell you, when I watched the strength challenge, now you have to remember they were raised up so high above our heads, so we couldn't see anybody on top. All we could see was the ropes hanging with the weight bags and then the blocks. When they started that, and you just saw people coming down and dropping and dropping and dropping, like I had tears in my eyes. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my life, to watch what these people had to go through. And I remember thinking to myself, they're never going to be able to top this challenge, because it was insane watching the people struggling and how long people were just holding on to one area and they couldn't move. And some people were even afraid to go down. It's heartbreaking because you sort of get to know people a little bit, in the time before you begin, and you see people that you're like, oh, they're strong, they're going to make it through, and you see them drop and you're like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, the people that dropped were not the people I ever expected to drop.
Yeah, I wonder if they really did expect at least 50 people to go through, because it was mentioned that not even 50 people made it up, and I wonder if they expected it to be as hard as it really was to do.
Here's the thing that I think I learned on Survivor too, is when you can be as strong as anything, but your weight really matters. So these guys with these big muscles, there was this one guy behind me and his neck was like out to here and his arms up to here. And I'm just like, oh my God, this guy's going to be like amazing. But when the weight is, like their heavy weight is what kills them. And I think that production was very shocked at how many people were dropping like flies. We were just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, it was just all over the place, bodies falling. It was insane. It was really insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I guess it makes sense why like Monika was like the first person up. Like, she's strong and smaller, right? So it's
that girl is so talented. She's like, everything you can't even. There's not one thing you can say that isn't a plus on her. Between her looks, her personality, her body, her strength, her like being able to be limber, and her focus is just insane. And she's very intelligent too. So, like, she's the full package. It was very, very exciting knowing that a female was the first to come up out of all of those people.
Yeah, no, that was really cool to see. I have to give you kudos though, because for the SMART challenge, I cannot fathom how all of you were able to memorize those blocks. So did you have any strategy when it came to memorizing the blocks for your challenge?
Yes, cheat. Yeah, cheat. So when they called me to say I was on the SMART team, I said, but I'm not smart. And they said, no, you're smart, it's okay. And I'm like, no, I'm not smart. And finally she said, don't worry, you're going to be okay. You're on the SMART team. I said, okay. I immediately called my sister, who's someone that I've always she knows me in and out. And I told, not immediately an NDA, but I called my sister. I was just like, they have me on this SMART team and I'm not smart. I text her and she wrote back. It makes me want to cry. You are the most street smart person I've ever met in my life, and blah, 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 blah. And that gave me the confidence to go in there knowing I'm not textbook smart. Yes, I've passed the FAA exams. I can pass exams and pass things when I put my effort into it. But all in all, I don't have, we had rocket scientists, we had engineers, you know what I mean? I don't even compare to the geniuses I was competing with. So I had to pull out my street stuff smarts and cheat. So what we did is I worked with the group of girls around me and we all worked together. So the very last one, which I don't know if they aired it, I think it was 16 blocks, and we all memorized, I said, let me memorize the first 4 or 5, whatever it was. And then someone else would memorize the middle, and then someone else would memorize the top. So I'd put mine up, and then I could look over at my neighbor, and she had hers sitting on the side that I could see. I'd copy her, and then we all did it. And we did it so quick. It was amazing. But yeah, I had to cheat. I'm not going to lie.
No, that's a good strategy though. I love that. Of like having people memorize different parts like that you trust.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
If you can't make it, you got to figure out how to make it. And I
Yeah.
knew that I wasn't going to, I knew for sure I would have never been able to memorize what some of those people did. You know, it was insane. And the time too, like you have the time and then you have to balance it. Like there was one time where I think we're at 12 and I finally got my top one on and my blocks started falling. And then he said, 3, 2, 1. And my blocks were still there and then they fell. And I knew I was good, but everybody in the place turned around and they're like, oh, Sue's out. And I'm like, I'm not out. And I said to the camera, I'm not out. I know when mine fell and I know the countdown ended. So I was like, oh, thank God. But then I knew I had to be much more careful moving forward.
Right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that element of it. That adds so much more pressure too.
And then you have Jimmy and all the guys running around trying to talk to you. You don't
Right.
like getting in your head. So I was in the back and I felt like they sort of stayed away from our area a little bit. They came back once in a while, but I was very grateful to not hear him chirping, trying to talk to you while you're trying to memorize.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I mean, thinking about your cheating, I feel like that's more strategy than cheating, like
Yeah.
you use the people around you. And I'm assuming the people that you worked with got through as well.
Yeah, so here's the downfall. Everybody in the whole back area realized we needed to cheat. Like, I think they had the real geniuses up front. So in the back, we're smart, but we're not memorizing colors and then being able to put them up. So I was working with a group of 2 girls, and then there was about 4 people next to us, 4 or 5, and they were all working together. We all completed it, and that whole side, one person made a mistake, and they all copied it, and all of them went together. And by the end of our last try, there were not a lot we were empty in the back because everybody was not smart enough to memorize everything. So we all worked together, so you had to really trust the person you were working with to be able to pray that they got it right. So yeah, it was really good strategy because we all got through, and it was really, really a great celebration and a bond that we'll all have together that we worked with each other.
That's so awesome. So you mentioned, I know they definitely didn't show all the rounds. Do you remember like how many rounds there were, or I guess like how long that single challenge took?
Well, as you guys probably aware, so I think that they went from like 10, 12, 14, 16. So, but in between all of this, they have legal looking at every camera, at every angle to make sure, see who's out and in, which takes like an hour. And then, they're rechecking something else and there's questions. And then, there were issues with, people falling in the height of the fall. So then they had to change things up. There was one point we got there at nighttime and we ended up finishing in daylight. I don't even know how many hours it was. It was insane. We ended up getting our meals sitting up on our little trap doors. So we were there for hours upon hours. And I think that some of the weather was bad and we had really bad storms, and then they had to evacuate us out and then bring us back again. I don't remember all of it, but it was like probably 2 days worth easy of waiting for everything.
Yeah, that's something when we did the blocks in episode 1, there's around 2,000 people doing it, a little less because some people got eliminated at that point. But yeah, we sat there for hours waiting for them to review every single camera.
So it's insane, right? And in the beginning you don't realize what's happening and you're like, why are we waiting so long? And then you start realizing that they need to make sure it's legal. And that's what I love about this, is that it's legal and they've done nothing to tweak anything, to do favoritism to anybody. They're like, if you're out, and it doesn't matter what your name is, so that was the good thing that I really had a lot of respect for.
Yeah, I completely agree. I guess so. Moving on in episode 1, I guess the biggest thing we want to talk about from episode 1 is the reveal of the OGs. When you experienced that, like, how was that feeling in the room? Was it really as crazy of a reaction as they showed on TV?
Well, yeah, because we're thinking we're eliminating 10 people, right? So we're like, okay, now we're down 10 people. And now they're saying, oh no, they're not leaving, they're coming in. And when they revealed them, your heart stopped because they've played the game. Like, I feel comfortable in stuff like this because I have the experience. But in the same breath, when you've got the OGs coming in, they've got much more experience in this game than I do. It was shocking, and I sort of was hoping nobody would bring him back, because especially Jeff, like, he's he's a great guy, but he knows how to play the game. Tawan, like, they're all good players, and they were threats compared to just being regular people coming back. It was shocking for everybody. We were all like, oh my God. And then you have to accept the fact that they're coming back. And then it's a whole different ball game when you've got OGs coming back.
And did you expect all 10 of them to be brought into the game?
I did, because from what the rumors going around was that there were a lot of people that were done. They wanted the money and they wanted to go. So people aren't going to step forward unless they want the money and they want to leave. And I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that Kareem, is that his name? Kareem?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, that they brought him back, but like they did, and that worked out against him anyways. And I'm sure he's a really nice guy and everything's much better now. But like, I was surprised that people wanted him back until I realized that now they want to take revenge on him. But yeah, I knew there were enough people at this stage that they were wanting to take the money.
Yeah, I feel like we had a lot of similar personalities like that in season 1 when we had the bribes in episode 1. There were some people that had to get back to school, just like only expected to be there for like 3 days. So they're like, why wouldn't I just take a bribe right now and leave and have the best experience ever? You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
there were people that took a 2 weeks off from work. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and then the stress of being like, well, do I stay? Do I go? I feel like if you're going to join, to everybody who's watching, if you're going to join a show like this and want to have the full journey and the experience of it, quit your job, take off work, whatever you got to do, but commit to the time that they're saying this could be 6 weeks, and be prepared for the 6 weeks instead of doing that. Because it's still cool to be there, but like, don't you want to like do everything you can to experience this? It's so cool.
Yeah.
Ava and I both quit our jobs for season 1.
I love that. Was it worth it?
Oh yeah.
There you go. You're there you go, right there. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's really worth it. And how can you really be locked into the game, if your mind's like, oh, I have to be home in like a week? You can't really lock in.
I hope I get money before then. That's not how it manifests at all. And that's not how the games go, right?
So then, talking about episode 2, so the OGs are now in the game, and we have y'all choosing of the 4 challenges. So first off, what made you choose blocks? And we're also wondering, how long in reality did that challenge take to film?
So I originally wanted balance, because I feel like I'm very good at balance. And we walked over, and I was toying between blocks and balance, but my first gut instinct was balance. And I'm thinking it's a physical thing because I know I can balance. I can stand on something, I can balance. Whatever it was, like I'm very confident in that. But then these certain people jumped in, like Monika, and then there was like this other guy that's just like insane. And when I looked over and watched them, they're doing like handstands. They're doing one-handed handstands. Like, there was a group of people that were just really, really good. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't beat them. Like, so what's my next step? And then I just figured, I knew like your block challenge, I figured I could figure that out and make that work. So that's when my brain, I'm like, okay, it's going to be building blocks and doing similar to what you guys had. That's just what I thought it would be. That challenge, again, I think we started maybe 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And we watched the sun come up. And by the time we were done, they had already served breakfast. So I don't know what time they serve breakfast there, because, we don't have, watches or anything. But the breakfast had already been served and sort of done. Like, the other people watching had already gone and gotten their breakfasts while we're still competing. So yeah, it was, I don't even know what time what could possibly have been, other than we started probably 9:30-ish. I don't know. It was dark, and then went full daylight into, late morning.
Yeah, that's.
But your adrenaline's going. Your adrenaline's like insane, and and there were many times like all the blocks fell. Like they didn't show it all, but it was a cutthroat fight to the finish. Like, there were times that they were up ahead, and then times that we were ahead, and it was so fun, so fun.
Yeah, that was like kind of my next question of, was there anything that happened that was like a big moment that they didn't show just because of how long it took, that you remember?
No, I feel the only thing I really remember, I felt like we were all many times, their blocks fell when Mitch, went out because he was just dead. Colby came in, and I remember looking at Gage, and I'm like, there's no way Gage is going to last. He was doing really good, but I'm thinking he's not half as fit as Mitch, and Mitch was done. Like we knew he was done. And probably within like 10, 15 minutes, all of a sudden they see they're bringing Gage down. So that was a big plus because he sort of was ahead of us. And that was interesting to watch. The only thing that I felt happened was in closer to the end when we were really up there. Our team was just vibing and we were just working well together. We had everybody on their little stations working together, and somebody said, "Oh my God, look at the other side. They're just standing there and they're not even speaking." And it was maybe 3 people working, and that was it. And so it's almost like they felt, I don't know, but it looked like they were already defeated and they realized that they couldn't do any more. So I don't know really what happened to the other side, but it didn't, you could see the vibe was no longer there. So that was the only thing that I noticed that I can remember.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because I feel like especially with long challenges like that, you need to be in the right headspace and have the right mentality. And if you essentially, quote unquote, give up before it's even over, like there's just no way that you're going to make it through.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to hear, like the difference in dynamics of the team.
That's just my opinion, though. I'm just saying that's my opinion and what we had heard. Like they were just saying that side just stopped working.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, that's interesting. When you like, obviously, eventually your team won. Was that like one of the best moments ever? Like finally it's over?
You know what? And like what I saying, challenge topped the next. Like winning those, doing the blocks in the beginning topped because we were in fear, like we wouldn't make it. So that topped it. And then the block challenge was so insane and everybody worked so well together. Again, I never thought we could top that. So it's like you're at the best you could possibly feel, thinking there's no way what we're doing next can ever top this. And so, but at that moment, it was so surreal. And just, I remember praying to my dad saying, thank you. Like, I just could not believe we were moving forward, especially because they had the majority of the OGs over there, and they had you didn't need a lot of strength other than the person pulling the blocks up. Like, everybody was strong in their own, way. So I, again, went in there almost feeling like an underdog, thinking we've got all the muscle, but not the brains in a way. Like they had more, but in the same breath, and the OGs, but in the same breath, like we worked together really well the whole time. And I think that's what made it so much more special. And yeah, it was a feeling that you can't even describe to people when you're working for hours upon hours to fight to stay in something and you actually pull it off.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't imagine how stressful that was and how much bonding that created with all of you.
Oh, it's insane.
And speaking of challenges, let's talk about the obstacle course, episode 3. So how did you end up with your team? Were there like alliances at that point, or like how did you end up with the group of people you competed with?
So it's so funny because there was a weird dynamic in B City, and it was all of the strong coming together and creating alliances. And then they started determining, we're probably going to have to come up with 5 teams of 10. So let's grab one smart person for our group. And then people were being left out of conversation. It was like on Survivor. If you're left out of the conversation, you're not a part of that alliance. It was like 2 or 3 days of constant conniving and whispers and people running to each other. And us smart girls were like, we don't care. Like everything that they've thought is going to happen, it's never happened. We can't even imagine what they're coming up with. So, we have to wait and see. But then when Jimmy had said, you've got to get into 10 groups of 5, we're like, oh my God. And that's where it caused a huge division because there were alliances, 9 of them planning on taking a smart person. And now, Tyler's leaving, Eric and blah, blah, blah. I can't even tell you the fighting and the hatred that went on because we formed our teams a couple days before the obstacle course because of weather and things like that. So there was a lot of stuff drama going on, especially in the strong men's area. But during the dodgeball challenge, Emily and Jeff became together because all of the strong guys were trying to get him and all the smart girls out. So her and Jeff really, really bonded, and he's a good guy, and he wanted to protect her and wanted to help her. So and the fact that they survived being bombarded by all the strong guys and gals, it built a bond between him and Emily. So when they said to divide into a group of 5, Emily was my ride or die. So Emily and I were together, and Jeff all of a sudden just appeared out of nowhere, and he's like, "You guys want to get together?" And he was more talking to her because him and her were like really, really good, and we're like, "Yeah, like of course." And then just Brett and Corey just happened to be by themselves, and we're like, "You guys want to come with us?" And as soon as they saw it was Jeff, they're like, "Hell yeah," and so we just came together. A lot of the other people just, I don't even know how they formed theirs. I know a few people were hurt, but you're sort of picking who you're standing next to too. I don't know. Did you guys experience that at all?
We didn't really have a lot of like smaller team dynamics, right, Ivy? It was more so,
No.
it was like group of like 60 plus, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't
Yes.
as dramatic with
Yeah.
alliances, I'd say.
Yeah, this was insane. And so we just happened to fall. It fell into our lap, and it was like the perfect scenario. Other than I didn't realize that, when they had us all be up on our blocks, and they're like, "Okay, now so we're going to spin, and whoever, gets their number gets, landed on, they get to pick the team they want." And I'm like, I wanted to be the one to pick a team because I think we were going to go for a different team. Who wants to go against the two huge guys, Colby and Mitch, right? Like they were just phenomenal. But it's very insulting when someone picks you that they're like, we can beat them. And I feel like it's hard to not be insulted and annoyed, but in the same breath, it just puts fire under your ass. You're just like, okay, F you guys, we're going to beat your rear ends. And when we had gone up to do the challenge, when we were watching back at on the big screen, we couldn't hear Jimmy say that they were different challenges. We thought it was always the same one. So we had no idea that it was going to be a different type of challenge. Like ours was the captain's challenge. So I remember telling the guys, even if Corey or Colby or Mitch are going to go, let me go first. I'll be like the go go pig or guinea pig, like to be able to like just at least you guys can beat everybody else, and I know like I feel like I'm athletic. I was a gymnast, like I play sports, and I knew I could handle this obstacle course. I don't think I could beat him, but I knew I could complete it. And that's where, I was willing to throw myself in just to have our other strong guys really save the day. And it was shocking when they just said pick a captain. We were just like, oh my God. And it's funny because you're disappointed because you want to compete, but you're relieved too. Like it's like a weird thing that happens to you because you're just like, oh my God, this would have been so cool to do. And I was visualizing myself doing the course. And when they said pick a captain, like, you're like, okay, well, at least I'm not going to blow for my team. It's a weird thing.
Right.
Yeah. When you were up there and Jimmy brought up, it's very interesting to kind of see how, the way the games are set up, the way the rounds, and two, just like having to pick the team you're going against, it's obviously like they're deliberately doing that to cause tension between people.
Yeah.
And that's why I really liked how Jimmy brought up the switching teams aspect too, because it's like, wow, that could really like just dig even deeper into like betraying your alliance. So that was a really cool aspect, I think.
Yeah, like I knew, so we played it that, we were going to make it look like Jeff was going to compete. So we never let them know that Corey was going to be the one to compete. And I think Jeff, it was interesting, but they showed that like it looks like Jeff's contemplating going, which I know for a fact he would have never done. But I didn't even understand that whole thing. I didn't realize he was doing that. But I actually yelled over to Jordan, who was one of my really good friends from the city, and said, "Jordan, come over." And he's like they did this, thought they had it in the bag. So it was a really, really sweet moment to actually pull that win off. It was insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then again, it's just that again tops the feeling of the last challenge, like you've been saying, Yeah.
Because like they're getting harder and harder. They're hard in their own ways. Mm-hmm. So like it's hard to even say which was the hardest, like but that one, like our team didn't have to do anything other than cheer for Corey. So we got very lucky in the fact that he pulled it off. We just said to him, whatever happens, we love you. And he's just such a good guy. And the fact that he's older, the fact that, he's a dad, and he's going against this beast was just insane. Like in your brain, you're almost like, okay, well, he's going to give it a good try. And that's sort of what I was thinking. I kept saying, I think he could do it. You never know, because I know he's an athlete as well. But the fact that and I think because you're still coming off the high of what Colby did with the blocks, right? You're just like, this guy is God. Oh no, Mitch at the end, right? Was in the end, right? So, you're just like, oh my God, it was just such a sweet feeling to beat those people that thought that they chose us because they thought for sure they could beat us.
Did it like bond you guys a lot after like putting all your faith in Corey to like carry you? Do you feel like that bonded you guys right before the captain bribe?
The goosebumps I have are like, you just talking about it still gives me goosebumps. That's how much it bonded us. And it's what an experience to like have, and I can't imagine what it feels like to be in Corey's shoes, to know that he did this for his team and that we believed in him and he had to believe in himself. And there's something that will always, we'll all have a special, this whole show, like all the people you become friends with, you have a special bond with them. But doing this and having Corey do what he did with us was insane. And we're all so blessed to be able to experience this together.
So right before we go into the captain bribe, I do want your opinion. So were you there watching the 5th and final round as they were competing? Okay.
I can't even, we were dying. So the winner, they had a winner's stage and it was along the course. So you could actually, all the winners, like the other people that lost, they were ushered off. And then the winners all stood right on the edge of the water, like just looking up at everything. And they were just at eye level. It was insane. And I'll never forget, like we could hear them arguing. We couldn't really hear everything they were saying. But when they got to Tyler holding the jousting pole against Eric, Tyler's face scared the F out of me. He was like a demon. If you saw that, like the TV didn't even do it justice of what his face was. He was there to murder. It was insane. He probably wanted to stay through the whole thing, but he lost his stick. I remember saying to Emily, oh my God, his face is so scary. He looked like a different person. Like he was so in there and focused and just ready to just murder him. It was insane. It was very scary. And I was like, thank God that wasn't my challenge, because I don't know, I could cry to him maybe and say, I'm a grandma, can you let me through? But I don't think he was going to do anything like that.
Yeah, it was interesting kind of like seeing those dynamics play out on the obstacle course, and also like referring to Ian and what was his name? I might have been
Vance,
Mike, or no, when Ian pushed off
Mike.
The one that was begging. Yeah. Mike. Yeah, he was like begging him, like, don't push me off, which again, Mike would have been watching behind the scenes. Now we know he would have been eliminated anyway because of the head grab. But that was just really intense too, because we are already pointing this out on our last podcast, but they both could have went through, like Ian didn't have to do that, but like he said, he committed to his team. So do you feel like that's a villain move, or is it him more so being loyal to the people that he promised in the beginning?
Look, they were all best friends. These guys, I can't even describe to you the friendships that this whole group of guys had with each other. They were tight, and then it just flipped on a dime. And we all felt Ian was a villain, because he was turning on his friends in this, I think it's like, you can look at it both ways. Committing to his team, he's a loyal teammate, right? And if he's committing to his friends, he's betraying his team. So like the other players that are back there. So at the time, I was very upset, and I felt it was really sad. They didn't show everything. So it was very, very sad to watch the guys begging and watch these friends fighting and watch them take each other out in a vicious way. It's not like it was like, okay, let's go arm wrestle or let's go have a race. It was just like, like serious, like taking each other out. And it was very hard to watch, and it was shocking, but it wasn't fun to watch. It was exciting, but in the same breath, it was sort of sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great TV, but also very emotional for the people there.
Personal, very personal, and as much as you try not to take, it's a game, it still comes home with you. And I'm hoping maybe they've come to terms and like each other. I don't know, but it's a game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to teeter-totter that, especially
It
after
is.
bonding with these people for, it's probably been over 2 weeks at that
Oh
point,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it's tough. But so yeah, kind of moving on to, or I guess on the theme of betrayal in a sense, and what makes you a villain. Ivy, do you want to take us into the captain bribe?
Yeah,
Oh.
so then we see y'all with your people. You're all bonded now and everything. So you felt good going into that challenge knowing who your team is, or were you still kind of
Oh no, I was 100% so confident because I knew Corey and Brett are friends and they're friends with Jeff too. So I knew there's no way they would put me up and I didn't want to put them up. And the only person I actually trusted that doesn't really need the money is Jeff. And, he gave us his word and I believed his word. So we all went into there knowing 100% that we were safe. Like Jeff he wouldn't have, I don't think that's who he is. And he wouldn't burn people to get another $1 million when he's there for a different cause. Like he's there to help people move forward, but he's there for a cause and to, bring more awareness to his son's illness. So he's right. Like, so yeah. So I was 100% positive that we were going to be good with Jeff.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you guys think he would be tempted?
No,
Yeah,
definitely not.
absolutely not. That's what I was gonna say. Like that would have been the team that I would have wanted to be on. Like the team with Jeff.
Exactly.
Yeah. So did you think, obviously before you found out who took it, or did you have suspicions of anyone else that was up there?
Well, we were hoping that Nick would take it, more so because we wanted to get the strong guys out. That whole group, we wanted out. They were, they were really picking on Emily, in the dodgeball thing. They apologized and everything, but they're a bunch of grown guys whizzing balls at this young girl, so you like them and they're nice and they apologize to her, but you have a little bit of a thought about them and you're just sort of don't want them there in a way. They were, they ganged up on a girl and which sort of sucked. So we were sort of thinking Nick might take it, but JC, we had heard suspicions of JC as well. JT as well, that he would take it. I knew Hannah wouldn't take it. If it got any higher, she may have, but I trusted Hannah too. She was there all about just to be about the journey, obviously whatever happens in the long run, she would take it obviously, but she was just so excited to be playing the game. So I trusted her 100% too, to not take it. I figured it would be either JT or Nick to fold.
Okay.
What'd you guys think?
Well, I kind of thought it was JT too. I think that their edit on Nick, where it made it really look like he was going to be the one to take it, made me say, like, okay, he's not going to take it. Because we know they did that edit with Dino in season 1. So we were like, okay, it's not going to be him.
Yeah, I was the same way. I said, like, I said Nick or Hannah. And the only reason I said Hannah was because I felt like we didn't see a lot of her personality shown like as a viewer yet, so I was unsure of her position in the game. Like I didn't know what she was there for. Yeah, I didn't really know her motivation, at least like from what I remember from the previous episodes. I was like, hey, I don't know, it could be her. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, if you were up there as the captain, are you taking the bribe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I would have let it go a little bit higher. And if I realized nobody was taking it, I'd be like, that's a sign for me to take it. I didn't want to go up there because I knew I would be tempted. You know what I mean? So like, I didn't know if I could, if I could come home and have my family be like, oh my God, you had a chance to get $1 million and you didn't take it.
Yeah.
So would you guys?
Oh yeah. I think season 2 for sure. Season 1, I was really all about the experience and like wanted to go as far as I can. But I mean, if you have a button to hit like for $1 million,
yeah,
I don't know. Like you got to do it, right?
Yeah. And that's what we discussed, the dynamic of I would do it if it was only 4 people rather than 60 people in season 1. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're just letting down so many more people in the first season. But Jesse did make a good point when we talked to him. It's like, is it worse to betray 60 people that you don't really know? Or is it worse to betray 4 people that you're really close with? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So that's what I'm also, if it were my girls, Hannah, Katie, Emily, I wouldn't have done it. But I didn't really know the guys that much. So it would have sucked for about 3 seconds and then I would have gotten over it. So I didn't know them that well. And they, the strong guys, the strong all the strong people never really made an effort to get to know me or a lot of the smart girls. The smart girls got to know them if they went over to their dorms, try to like mingle with them, get to know them a little, or flirt with the guys. Other than that, like we just didn't exist, and they sort of overlooked us in a way. They were never like Corey. Obviously, Corey and Brett and Jeff were so nice and wonderful, but I didn't have a bond the way I had with the girls. So yeah, it would have sucked, but you know, I would have been okay. $1 million right now would have been wonderful, right? And 60 people that you don't know, no problem.
I mean, I feel like everyone would take the milli in that.
Right.
Well, actually, not everyone. Can't say everyone because there's 4
True.
people that didn't. But majority of the people, especially as viewers, would be like, "Why wouldn't you take that?" Like that's
You
just
know what
such
it
a
is
logical
too?
decision.
Yes. And now that we've seen 2 shows, we see what it is. And so now people are even more prepared. They're sort of expecting it in season, season 3, probably going to be it again. They're all going to be freaking fighting each other to get up on that wall, right? So
Yeah.
the towers. Now we understand it. Season 1 was insane because everyone's just so excited about the bonds and people trusting them and staying true to their word. You know, like by season 3, I guarantee you it's going to be a battle to get up onto that they're all going to be climbing up that tower.
100%.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, same. So I guess after JT took the bribe, how were the dynamics with him in the city? Like, were people angry at him, or were they just like, how was that?
all of the guys went and started kissing his butt. You want to know why? Because they knew that he would throw himself on the sword. He'd be content with, he's already got $1 million. I'll help you guys move forward. If there's something where we have to self-eliminate, I could be that person. And
That's interesting
everybody
too.
swarmed to him. He came off that tower and the guys went running to him, consoling him. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You know, like I was happy for him. I really felt bad. I was very close with Brandon. So I really felt bad for Brandon. You know, so you feel bad for people, but like at the end of the day, he just took $1 million freaking dollars. You know, like the world watches and everybody's like, why don't they take it? You know, and so you guys know when you're there, it's a different situation. So it's hard to do that, to break that bond that you've built with these people. But at the end of the day, he walked home a millionaire, you know?
Yeah.
So everybody was kissing his ass, and he got a lot of new friends really quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about it that way, right? You're like, you don't think about it, but then you're just like, okay, well, we could probably use him now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And kind of phasing into, you know, the biggest part so far of the season, coming upon the Survivor Beast Games crossover. Obviously, we were so excited. So let's start off with the Cannonball search. You were, if not first, the second, right?
I was within like 5 minutes. I found that damn thing.
Wow.
Literally, you know what? As soon as he said we were gonna do a treasure hunt, my vision in my brain was just like, go to the closest place, which is right here in front of me, and just rip the place apart. So as soon as he said go, everybody just went running around behind me. I think Nick was over there. I opened up the refrigerator, which I don't know why, because it's not big enough to hold a cannonball. But as soon as I went over to the gloves, I picked up the very first glove and the ball was there. I'm telling you, it was less than 5 minutes I found the ball.
Wow.
It was insane. And I was in heaven. Like, I can't even describe the feeling, because I can't imagine the torture and the torment of having to do a treasure hunt with 25 people or 20 people running around B City looking all over the place. So I was very, very lucky.
Yeah, that is so nice.
Wow.
And so yeah, it took you less than 5 minutes. How long did the entire search end up taking around, from what you remember?
I would probably have to say probably an hour, maybe a little bit more.
Wow.
All of a sudden people couldn't find anything. And me, Ian, and I think Nick found them real quick. And then it took a long time. And you looked out into B City and there were just bodies running all over the place. And you know, like, I think they just ripped it apart. They ripped apart the dorms, they ripped apart any bush, everything. They just ripped everything apart. It was insane.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how in season 1 we ripped that city apart for that golden ticket to the island.
So how long did it take for your guys' treasure hunt?
Well, there was only one thing hidden. Honestly, less than 5 minutes, right, Ivy?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
Was that
because it
quick?
was taped. It was taped under the ping pong table.
Yeah.
So he found it. Yeah, but yeah, I think he found it, and a lot of people were still searching at that point, and then Jimmy was like, all right, someone found it, and we were all just like,
Uh,
no.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
oh
But
my
you, so
gosh.
you got a little experience of how annoying a treasure hunt search is, right?
Oh
Like it
yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
imagine. So you could feel the desperation too. You could feel,
Right.
and I was just rooting for my girls, Hannah and Katie, because I
Mm.
wanted them to come and do this with me. And you couldn't see anybody. You just saw, it was dark, and you just saw bodies running around. You had no idea what was going on.
Wow.
And
Yeah, that's
it's interesting, like, I wonder if the dynamic of searching for the cannonballs would have been different if, like, last season you get eliminated if you're competing for the island, whereas this season you knew that it's just a shot at 1.8 million. So
Yeah.
I think that changed it up a lot.
Oh yeah,
Was there
I still would have
anyone
gone. I would have gone. I was
really?
hoping it was going to be a hide and seek against the Navy SEALs. I wanted to do
Mhm.
that even on my audition. I said, I want to experience hiding on an island from the Navy SEALs. Like that was exactly what I wanted to do. So there's no way I wasn't going to, turn this one down.
Was there anyone
Wow.
that didn't look for the cannonballs and were just
No,
like,
but
I'm good?
Monica found it and she gave it to August. Monica had
Really?
found a cannonball
Wow.
and
Wow.
she didn't want it because Jim wasn't going or something. I don't know
Mm.
everything, but
Mm.
yeah, she found it and said, "Hey, August, you want this?" And he said, "Sure," and that's how he made it.
Wow.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you first pulled up, realizing it's the Survivor Island in Fiji? Like, did you have any inkling that that's what was happening, or was it a just complete shock?
No, so there were a lot of little similarities. So, as we're in the boat heading in the waters, I'm looking around for my island. It's called Castaway Island. That's where I spent my entire Survivor season, was on Castaway Island in Tuku and Becca. And I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. And then we're getting closer to this one island. But what was interesting was there were so many similarities to Survivor. Like you're in the boat and they pull up and they mic you, and it was the exact same boat. I felt like it was the same driver that was familiar from last summer. And but I didn't want to be name dropping, be like, oh my God, we just on Survivor. So I'm just keeping it to myself. But I'm like, must be they use the same company. It's like one company that works for all of, I knew they were filming Love Island or something too. So I knew that, it's probably one company. But then when we got closer to the island and when I realized it was Jeff, I almost had a heart attack. I mean, you hear me scream, but it's almost just like you're confused, you're excited. I'm like, is he just here to like just let us borrow his island, which he did? Is he just here because he's here and they're filming 50? And then it was like that familiarity, like I'm away for over 3 weeks, you're missing home a little bit. And when I saw Jeff, that's like a family member to me. So it was a combination of all these emotions of, oh my God, like, and just hugging him and just being like, oh my God, like it felt good, it calms you a little bit. And then the one thing that I was expecting, once he made us realize that we were competing, then I really, in my brain, was thinking, are the cast members of 50 going to be around the corner? And do I get to pick someone to compete with? Like they used to do that when they brought family members out. So I'm just like, oh my God, like I'll grab my girl Genevieve and compete with her once more on Survivor in a Beast Games crossover, but they weren't there. But it was like, you get a million thoughts in your head of what the heck is going on. None of it made sense to have, Prime and CBS come
Right.
together. Like it just,
Right.
it wasn't necessary, but like it's an explosion. Like neither of them need each other, but
Hmm.
what a great shocker, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And like, so going into that first challenge on the island, did you feel transported back into like competing on Survivor, or did it feel a little bit different because of like the Beast Games aspect being brought into it?
Yeah, it was 100% back in Survivor mode. All the cast or all the crew members. I think everyone else was a little shocked because Beast Games doesn't have that many cameramen there. So to have hundreds of people and big cranes and everything watching it's pretty overwhelming in the very beginning. And having Jeff talk and then having Jimmy talk, and it was like the craziest thing you can't even like make this up. Right? Like to have like Jeff running the show and then Jimmy run the show and then Jimmy saying, okay, Jeff, you take it away. And we're just like, oh my God, this is insane. And, like I knew the people, I really wanted to compete with Ian, but because he stepped up and there was no way he was stepping down, That was sort of a bummer to me. But I know from competing on Survivor that the most important thing is the final puzzle. And no matter how slow we were, like it'd be benefit us if we weren't slow, but if we were, I knew we could always catch up in the puzzle because everybody always does. So it was so cool to, like, at 60 compete again on Survivor. It was really cool.
We love seeing you there on the island.
Thank you.
That was
Thank
so
you.
awesome. And talking about the challenge a little bit more. So was it your idea to tell Hannah about the numbers, like to steal the numbers?
Well, you know what? We didn't realize that we were telling her the wrong side of the numbers. So, we started once we saw JC got it, and we're just like, okay, try to tell her the numbers because you're allowed to. But it got so loud there that we were trying, they didn't show we were telling her on our side, these are the numbers. So they never really showed that we were trying to explain to her what it was. And, she didn't understand. So that really held us back a lot. But yeah, if they're pulling ahead and, like, cheat.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah,
street
work
smart of me.
smarter. Work smarter, not harder, for
That's
sure.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, and that's where it still was amazing that when, Katie finally got up there, we were like neck and neck still. So at least, I can't feel so bad. And then she can't feel so bad about being so slow.
Talking about that numbers thing, right before we move on to the Get a Grip challenge, I know they mentioned in the episode it felt more chaotic than Survivor challenge normally would. And is that just because like the other team was yelling back as well, like yelling random numbers? Do you think that would have happened on Survivor too, or no?
I think it will happen moving forward because it was genius. When I heard Nick's loud voice screaming, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe they're doing this. And he was yelling so loud that they were screaming so loud that we could not even hear ourselves. It was chaos, pure chaos. And she was probably just like, I don't even know what to do because it was out of control how loud they were yelling. It was insane.
Yeah.
So funny though, right? Like it's just hysterical,
Yeah.
but so smart.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have stressed me out for sure.
I couldn't have done it just listening to them. And that's why, it's so funny because I was trying to think of what I would be best at. And I know Jeff, and I know Jeff gets in your head. And if I'm trying to concentrate on certain designs and making them be good, and if Jeff's in your head, like, I don't think I could, like, it's hard to block him out. And then Jimmy was still doing the same thing a little bit, but Jeff is brutal. But Jeff is also very good at when you are the underdog, he does support you. And like he kept saying, come on, Sue, one more. You got this, Sue. You just need one more. And when he said that, it like just gave me that energy to throw that one last coconut. But so he's very good when you are the underdog to support you. But then he's the first to start, letting everybody know and announcing that you're in the back and you're sucking.
Yeah.
He's very good at what he does.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he has plenty of experience, so
Yes.
Can't expect anything less from him.
Exactly.
So yeah, kind of phasing into the Get a Grip challenge. Obviously, we know you didn't compete in that, but watching it, one, you got the burger, which that was fun.
Yeah.
That was a fun little bit going
But you know what? If it were Survivor, I would have loved the burger. But we ate so much at Beast City, I came home gaining weight. I didn't need the burger. I needed a secret advantage inside the fries like Rachel got.
Right. Literally. So watching the Get a Grip challenge, how do you remember how long it took? Because that's a big question from Survivor fans. Because in Survivor you're basically starving, whereas in Beast Games you're not. Did it take longer than I guess how it would in Survivor?
Well, Nick came down, I would say, probably less than a minute or so.
Wow.
Like he started sliding. I don't know for sure, so sorry, Nick, but like he started sliding and then Tyler started sliding pretty soon after him. That was probably maybe like a couple minutes. And then I think that the other guys maybe could have been like 12 minutes. I can't remember. I feel like someone mentioned it once or something, but then they ended it once they got Ian to take the bribe. So it was much quicker than you would expect.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was like one of our biggest questions for that. Now, obviously talking about Ethan's situation, did you expect him to come down for that, for the 50K?
No, we kept screaming, Ethan, you're good. Ethan, you're good. Like, stay up there. Like, he wasn't budging. And, it would have been, I think, like I expected Ian to win because he's like this ninja warrior beast, but he was shaking. He was like sweating. he was struggling, and I felt like JC was going to hold it, and definitely Ian was going to hold it. You know, Ian could have easily walked away with an island because he was a beast up there. Again, it's the skinnier, the tinier type people that challenge is good for, obviously.
Right. That was crazy to see him come down from that. Definitely a sad moment.
Yeah.
When he looked so solid.
I know he was pretty upset after the reality of everything. He was pretty upset, and you know, I'm sure that they've all made peace with each other, but there's a lot of controversy about, they manipulated him and everything else. But, he's a grown guy, and he walked away with $50,000. And this is a game, and you can't allow anybody to manipulate you. And he did, because he knew he could have stayed up there the whole time. So, I feel bad for him, but it was his choice to take the money and make them feel better.
And we saw him in the final tribal, which I will fade into now, I guess, but he did say he regretted taking the 50K.
Yeah.
And now I can only imagine how he's feeling rewatching it on TV, and also seeing like in the behind the scenes, like Jimmy was like, yeah, I would have kept bumping up the bribe. And, if you think about all the what ifs with Ethan's scenario, if he was in top two, whether it would be with JC or Ian, JC, he would have beaten out most likely.
Yeah.
And then with Ian, I didn't know the dynamics of everything. Obviously you were there, but Ian, yeah, he has the family aspect. I don't know Ethan's background, but Ian was technically a villain in the obstacle course, so maybe it could have been swayed by Ethan pointing that out to the
and I think Ethan's smart enough to bring that up as well. So it could have, that's the thing that I think, and you guys probably, feel it too, when you're on these shows, you have all those what if. What if I did this? What if I walked that way? What if I made a different friend with that or whatever? And that's the hardest thing. So unfortunately, this might haunt him, but he walked away with $50,000. Right. He didn't get voted out, or he didn't get knocked out, and he didn't come home with nothing. He came, he left there with $50,000 in his pocket. And, I think he can hold his head high knowing that the world saw that he could have outlasted both of them. Unfortunately, he made a decision, and, this is what his decision was.
Yeah. And that's a good point. He didn't leave empty-handed.
No.
Didn't leave with nothing.
$50,000. I mean, it's insane.
So talking about what I think is one of the most memorable moments from the final tribal, was it really as tense as it seemed during the Jeff and JC moment?
Yes. It was shocking. It was tense and shocking. And I was surprised. My heart broke for JC. I was surprised at Jeff because he's always been so kind and nice. And he was cold and stern, and put him out there. And for me to have force someone to say I was wrong because I put my family first made me sick to my stomach. And it made me sick to my stomach that those words came out of JC's mouth. And that's what Jeff wanted to hear.
It's interesting to hear it from a perspective of someone that was there, and how shocking it was. Because you do not expect Jeff to be that serious and cutthroat, he's just such a nice guy. So it was surprising as an audience member too, to see that come out in that moment.
It was like there was such underlying hostility. And it was, I don't know, because I never saw that side of Jeff. Jeff he's a competitor, and he focuses, and he's stern that way, but to do it to another human being and needing to bring up something from a year ago, the past, that JC made it very, very clear when he arrived that he was out for redemption. So he wanted the world to see that he is sorry for burning the people he did, and that he does regret it, and blah, blah, blah. But to have a man be forced to say, I, was wrong for putting my family first. I mean, we're all there for our effing families. You know what I mean? So I was stunned, and I didn't, again, you have to remember you are on TV. So you have to be careful to how you respond, how you react, how you deal with everything. And again, you still have to keep your life alive in the game moving forward. So you're sort of walking on tiptoes when you're living through all of this, but in the same breath, my heart really, really broke for JC, and I cannot believe that he said on national TV that he was wrong to put his family first over strangers. You know, like they're not strangers, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I would never, ever, ever put anybody over my family. And second, I would never even say something like that, making other people more important than my family.
In a sense, moving on from that moment and talking about another point in Tribal, when you brought up, you know, you're looking for how could I benefit from this? And your question was amazing. You know, you were saying how they said they would be willing to self-eliminate for you guys, and you said, would you be willing to self-eliminate tonight? And you directed that at Ian. And so at that time in the game, did you believe Ian's answer of saying that he's committed to these 9 people here when he said that?
I did. So I really wanted to push. Like, look, it's all about the numbers, right? So like if I'm going to give you $1.8 million island, and you're willing to leave for it, that's one less person I'm competing against, right? Like it's one person gone again. But in the same breath, I would have loved to call them out on it and see if they'd really be willing to do it. But then Ian was so smart to say, but I'm willing to help you guys moving forward, and I will help the 9 of you. And forever in my heart, I'm so grateful, and you know, like keep me and I can be an asset to you. So I believed that, yes.
I really did like your question though, and
Thank you.
Obviously, yeah, we didn't really see like that was another question I had really quick before we move on. Were there any questions that other people asked that they didn't show or no?
No, they showed that was it.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow. See,
you
knew what to ask.
Well, you know what it is too? Is like you're put in these situations and we didn't know, like, you know, you're going to tribal, but we didn't know we were going to be on the set of 49. We didn't know, you know, like you don't know. And then we're like, okay, we'll start with the questions, and you're sort of caught off guard. You know what I mean? Like in Survivor, I knew it's just different, you know? And so like we sort of knew we were going to tribal, but we didn't really know what the circumstances was going to be on our end of it. I guess I could have probably come up with more questions too, but at the time you're so taken back by, you know, like, oh wow, we got to come up with questions. And that was the only thing that I'm just like, if I can get rid of one player, you know, I'll give him my vote type thing. And, you know, and I don't even know if the rest of the people on, you know, in the jury would have pushed for them to eliminate themselves either. I know Tyler would have never let Ian eliminate. So, but it's interesting to see how far you could push them.
So yeah, I guess long story short, we see Ian win the island, everyone's celebrating, and then of course Jimmy hits the one more thing. How did you react, and how did everyone else kind of react to the fact that it was JC getting the coin?
Well, to be honest with you, you know, again, I felt bad for JC. You know, like I have a soft spot in my heart for JC because he's been so damaged by season 1. His actions, you know, on season 1. So he's a good guy. I don't know how well you guys know him.
Well, JC was one of my very first like alliance members in season 1. We stayed at the same hotel like before the show even started, so we got really close there. And so I was with him my whole time I was there. Him and Emma were like 2 of my like closest people.
He's good people.
So yeah. So I love JC, and so it's definitely hard seeing, you know, people's reactions to him sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's harder being him. Like nobody understands, you know, you can be a villain or you could be like, for me, you know, I was myself on Survivor, but I had so many people hating me. Like people just they love to hate you and say mean things. So, and I didn't burn anybody. So I can't even imagine what JC went through. And I believe him when he said he got death threats because it's crazy out there. And I do believe he came back for redemption. You know, and I really like him. I felt my heart broke for him. So when Jimmy said, I've got something else, I was praying that it would be a little money. Like I was hoping that I didn't even think about the coin. I'm thinking maybe he'll give him a little consolation prize of 100,000 or something. So I was shocked that it was the coin. And, you know, again, like JC said, it's leverage, and that's, you know, where it benefits him. But I was really honestly praying in my heart that they would have given him a little money.
So theoretically, if you were in the position where you got the coin, you got second place for the island, got the coin, made it to final 6, and had a choice to flip it, would you choose to flip it and chance your elimination, or just play it safe?
I have to I don't know if I could flip it. If it was going to cost me the game, like, I can live on 5 million. You know what I mean? So like, and if you make it that far, final six, I don't know if I would be the one to flip it. I think about it, but like, I don't need 10 million. I just need 5 million. So I probably would not. Would you guys?
I don't know.
I don't think
Top
so.
six,
I honestly
top
don't think I
six.
would.
So yeah, it almost doesn't feel worth it, like at that point. Like you're so close.
You got to have a lot of balls to be able to take a chance on just basically
Yeah.
self-eliminating over had 50-50 chance.
Right. And you still have to compete for the 10 million, even if you do flip it, just like
Exactly.
Gaige's
So
situation in season 1.
Yeah, and you're giving someone else $10 million.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Gage is the one that flipped it, right?
Yeah.
That's ballsy. But
I
I
know.
personally, if I was top five, top six, I don't think I would flip it. I would want to just try to be happy with 5 billion.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would be pretty happy with 5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Our final questions I just do have to do with Survivor and the Beast Games crossover itself, and kind of the differences that at least you noticed being there and competing. So my first question is, did it feel like the social environment of Survivor feel different than Beast Games? Like, did the dynamics between people feel different, and how was that in general? Did that make sense?
Yes. So yes, in perfect sense. So Survivor was brutal. Survivor was like kill or be killed. You were 24/7 trying to stay afloat. You're watching people, you're sitting with 5 people and 3 of them are walking away and you're like, okay, I wasn't invited. It was, and you automatically start getting paranoid. Beast Games, like we were like a community. And, even though I didn't get to know the strong didn't really mingle with the smart. The smart had a really, really good vibe and good people, and especially the ladies. I became so close with all of the ladies, and they're so intelligent. They're so kind. Like on Survivor, you're not kind. You're just like, how are we going to get him out? Or how are we've got to figure out, and you're scamming and you're scheming and you're being evil and you're just trying to stay alive. So it was a totally different entity compared to Survivor. Survivor was kill or be killed, and Beast Games was, ooh, let's go get a cake pop. Like it was just different.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it
What
was
a
peaceful and
comparison.
happy and lovely. Compared to Survivor was mentally grueling.
So, talking a little bit more about the different like strategy when it comes to the Survivor versus Beast Games, what's your point of view as to why Betrayal is praised on Survivor but villainized on Beast Games?
So Survivor, you have there's a less amount of people and every day someone's being killed off, and it's basically kill or be killed. So you need to, like, for me, I had my alliances and I would never veer from my alliances, and every single person else was just an object in my way, and I wanted that every single one of them gone. And I would have ride or died with the Gabe and Caroline and then Rachel in the end. But the other people, they were always on the opposite side of the tracks. I was not their friend and they were not my friend. Where in Beast Games, so it was okay because everybody, you either need to betray someone or they're going to betray you. So it was like, who can get there first? On Beast Games, it's a community. It's a community playing basketball together, ping pong, playing games at the library, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. Everything's peaceful and happy, and you're gonna have one competition, and then you're coming back to normal life again with less people. So there was like. And I think the only time people betrayed each other was when, and it was the strong people who picked friends, like whoever they wanted to vibe with more. And that's how they felt betrayed. Other than that, there was really no betrayal. It was more of a just, who do I want to do this next challenge with? So it wasn't like, let's plan this out and screw them. It was just like, okay, we got this challenge coming up. You're stronger. John's stronger than Tim. So I want to go with John. Tim felt betrayed, but it wasn't like a mischievous type evil betrayal at all, in my opinion.
It's interesting to compare those point of views, especially obviously coming from you that has experienced both. And clearly your gameplay has benefited you in both games so far, and we don't even know what the future holds with Beast Games for you, so super excited to watch the upcoming episodes for sure. Maybe we'll have you back on the podcast again to discuss other things that go on, so we'll see about that. But I guess to kind of wrap us out, my final question for you would be, what advice would you give anyone going on to any type of reality show, since you have so much experience?
So I think one, you have to be mentally tough. I think that's the most important thing, because paranoia does kick in, and you have to understand that you take people for what they're worth, and depend on yourself the most. Even though, like on Survivor, you can trust your alliances, but people are people, and they all want to play their own game. And you're going to realize quick that as much as they, want to bring you with them, they're only going to bring you with them so far, and then they're going to like focus on themselves. So one, it's a mental thing. You have to really be mentally tough to be able to like pull through the tough times, the betrayal times, and keep going. And then the physical end of it, for some, Beast Games wasn't so physical, but because you have the strong and the smart, but it was like a combination, and it wasn't anything extreme. But like Survivor, you need to be physically fit if you want to like do well, not ruin your challenges by you falling behind and ruining your team's win or something. So physically fit, mentally strong, and having a good social game. Like the social game is the most important.
We've loved having you on this podcast. And so, is there anywhere that the audience can find you? Do you have anything you want to shout out?
Oh, well, I can give you my Instagram handle. It's Sue Smey S47. That's the only one I know. I don't know anything. And I have a website, SueSmey.com. I love being a life coach. I love helping people, working with people. I'm open to, I have a lot of people reaching out to me for, their audition advice, and I love to help people. So send them on over, and I'll give you my ideas and my tips to maybe help you all get onto a show. Doesn't mean you will, I don't guarantee it, but like I love to be able to talk to people and work with people. Other than that, I'm just here having fun, enjoying life, and just advise everyone else to get out there and just live life.
That's
And we'll link all your stuff down below. So
okay, thank you.
Everyone, go look down below.
You guys are the best. This was very nice.
Thanks.
Thank
We
you
think
so
you're the
much.
best.
Oh, thank you.
Of
We'll have to do another watch party.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
yes.
That'd be awesome. Well, that's all we have for you guys today. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out our BTS content if you haven't already. But for now, that's all we got.
See ya.